Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. We're going to do my mid-August wrap-up. I have DNFs. I have completions. So, let's talk about DNFs first. I have far too many, in my personal opinion. Nope. Go lay down. I have soft DNF'd the Martha Vineyards Beach and Book Club by Martha Hall Kelly. This was a library book, or this copy is a library book. I didn't make it very far. I completed the first chapter, and, well, I absolutely despise the main character. The book begins with her deceiving this nice old woman to gain access to said nice old woman. And at that point, I was like, I am really, really not in the mood for this. So, that was out. I then DNF'd. I have a couple DNFs, I don't even remember, but I have DNF'd the book club choice for August. That is The Road to Paradise by Karen Barnett. I do actually own this whole series. I was looking forward to this very much. Vintage, historical, cozy, national parks. First one is at Mount Rainier National Park. I've actually been there. Very familiar with the area. And unfortunately, the book was shallow, completely inauthentic, incredibly surface level. It is filled with these beautiful quotes from John Muir, a couple of other poets, and they add nothing to the story. They are great word count filler, and that's what they felt like. And then you get to the other problem I have. I have many, but the next problem is there's this intrigue around our heroine and her past, and it isn't explained until 50% through the book, which is, I stopped at like 52, 55%. I don't care. I was bored. I was forcing myself to read that far to begin with. And the intrigue and the backstory, what little backstory there was so incredibly predictable that why did it take that long to even get to that point? So, I have DNF'd it. Then there's the problem where as soon as this actually happens before the backstory is explained, our heroine and our hero of the book share this big old kiss. Now, mind you, they really haven't been able to tolerate one another to this point. They've had no in-depth discussions with one another. There's no basis for the kiss except, fighting physical attraction, but they don't actually, or he doesn't actually like her. It was just a mess. It just felt inappropriate. I don't say that very often, but this just felt inappropriate. This was clearly a Christian fiction book. It was clearly written that way. There's faith throughout from the very beginning of the book. And yet, 50% in, these characters have not even something remotely approaching a relationship that's more than surface level. And yet they're having this big old passionate kiss. I was done. I don't care. So, there you go. I know I have a couple more DNFs, but could I tell you what they are off the top of my head? I could not. That's how unmemorable they were to me. So let's talk about what I have read. I did finish Gone with the Wind the 8th of August. I will link my review for that in the description box down below. I'm not going to talk about it in any detail here. I will simply say that Gone with the Wind, if you have never read it, it is not what you expect. It is not what the popular modern take on Gone with the Wind is. And it is an American classic for a reason, and it deserves to be read and appreciated for the brilliant novel that it is. Okay, so what else have I read this month? I have finished 2 library books. Oh, I know what my other DNFs are. Okay. One was a library book. It was The Last Light on Galveston. Author's name just flew out of my head. This was a library book. I listened to it on audio. I made it quarter of the way through. I know Amanda finished it and she cried at the end. I, on the other hand, could not. Again, we have another character that was very surface level. She has this mysterious past that is not explained as the book opens up. I was a quarter of the way through, still not explained. Turns out, Amanda says it's explained at 85% through the book. No. And then you have these horrible flashbacks to her life in New York prior to her life in Galveston, and they just take you immediately out of the story. There is no connection between the flashbacks and her life in Galveston as it currently is in the story, and you don't understand what's going on. And I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that. So that one is done. Okay, so what have I finished? I listened to it on audio. That is Spirit Crossing by William Kent Kruger. This is the 20th book in the Cork O'Connor series, and it brings me current with the series. And this tells... I don't know if I've mentioned it in the previous wrap-ups where I've talked about a Cork O'Connor series, but no one is ever safe in these books. Long-running characters are not safe. Just period. And that holds true in this book. There's not a lot I can say about this book and not give it away, other than the death killed off a character I didn't expect them to kill off. And it sets up the future of the series should William Kent Kruger choose to go in that way, because Cork has been our protagonist from the get-go, but he is now aging. He's my age, if not slightly older, and there's only so long in life that you are physically fit enough to chase down the bad guy after you've suffered gunshot wounds and injuries, and life has happened. So my instinct is that the author is setting up the series to continue with a new protagonist. Spin-off series most likely, but we shall see. And if that's the case, I will probably be okay with it. I will say the politics are starting to bleed in a little more. I mean, they're not offensively bleeding in, but they're a little more obvious, even if you're not on the lookout for them. So, okay, what else have I finished? They're all library books. First up would be The Authenticity Project by Claire Pooley. I don't know if this was her first novel or not. She writes these beautiful novels about older protagonists. And in this case, it all begins with Julian Jessup. He is 70-something. He is feeling incredibly alone. He's a widower. And he goes to this tea shop and leaves a green notebook that on the cover says The Authenticity Project. And he writes a little blurb about his life story, and he asks a couple of very pertinent questions in this notebook that he leaves on the counter. And the whole point of the notebook is that you answer his questions. And they're beautiful. I'll read you a couple. How well do you know the people who live near you? How well do they know you? Do you even know the names of your neighbors? Would you realize if they were in trouble or hadn't left their house in days? What would happen if you shared the truth instead? Those are all incredibly relevant questions. And what happens as the book unfolds is the journal gets passed along to various people you meet in the story. The tea shop owner, it then gets picked up by a man who shoves it in his backpack as he's fleeing to Thailand to get himself sober and detox. It then gets passed on to an Australian bloke on his way to England from Thailand. And along the way, this odd, eclectic group of people learn more about themselves. They open up their lives to the people around them. It is a beautiful story. And this is my second Claire Pooley book. I just bought a third one on my Kindle because it was on sale and my library didn't have it. And I am absolutely in love with the fact that she recognizes that just because you are over the age of, I'll be generous and say 35, characters still have stories to tell if they're older than 35. They certainly have stories to tell if they're 70 or 80, let alone my age. So I highly recommend these books. Yeah, there's some occasional swearing, but the overall story is just beautifully written. So, okay. And I finished yesterday the Fleur de Sel Murders by Jean-Luc Banalac. This is the third book in the Commissar Dupin series. And I love this series. It is set in Brittany, which is a region in France on the coast. And amazingly enough, they are natively written in German. They are then translated into French, and then they're translated into English. And they are not a cozy, they are not a French police procedural either. They are just what I'd like to classify as a thinking mystery. They are usually wrapped up in 3 or 4 days. They're broken up into, day 1, day 2, day 3 as the investigation proceeds. And he is gruff and abrupt and not a native of Brittany. He was sent there from Paris, where his family lives, and he's learning to become a Breton, so to speak, if that's even possible. And you just get this beautiful glimpse of the history and mythology and the Breton dialect of French. And it's all just gorgeously written. The mysteries are engaging, and it is very much a case of shown, not told, which we all know is how a good mystery is written. And it is, you don't need to read them in order, but they would probably make more sense if you did. And they're just beautiful. They're a little heavier in tone than, let's say, Cozy, but they're not nearly as technical and fast-paced action as a police procedural tends to be. So it's just this nice interim level of a mystery story. And I discovered them thanks to my library. I'm reading them from the library, and I don't regret it in the slightest. So what am I currently reading? I have finally started The Fix-Up by Sheridan Peterson. I just have not been in the mood for a rom-com. I am like 7 chapters in, and I am loving this book. It is a typical Sharon book. It is fantastic. I am loving the story. I am loving the backstory. And I absolutely have been just cracking up because our heroine from the opening page begins the story of The Fix-Up by announcing to the world that her man picker is broken. And she proves it, and it's just, you laugh from the get-go. And every chapter contains a real-life quote from, I believe Sharon said it's from her readers, and it's from their kids describing what love is. And like, this is from Gabrielle, who's age 9, and he said, love is where you can basically show how you feel, like if you like somebody. And then this is from Lauren, age 4. I don't know. It means you love them. Or, here we go. Last one. This is from Ella, who's age 10. When you find a person attractive, that's what love is. And it's just a gentle reminder that sometimes kids nail what love is better than adults do. Like Josephine, age 12. Love is a feeling. That's all. They're just great. And they're from kids of all ages. And they're at the head of every chapter. And I am just thoroughly enjoying this book. I have started Sovereign by C.J. Sansom. This is the 3rd book in the Matthew Shardlake series. I am buddy reading this with Miriam, and it is probably going to be the book I finish this week, along with The Fix-Up. It is set in Tudor England. Henry VIII is king. It is a fantastic mystery novel. It is just fantastic. I love every word in these books. There is nothing extraneous. They're atmospheric. You love the characters. They're twisty. They're turny. Just, oh, they're just gorgeous. I am also need to pick up and start the Volume 8 of the Unselected Journals of M.M. Lyon. This is the last book released in the series. Supposedly, Volume 9 is due to drop here shortly. And it'll be, that is, those journal entries are not challenging. So they make a good break from heavier reads. And I think that is all I currently have in process. I say that, and I will undoubtedly pick up another library book and, start it too. So that is the, my buddy read with Miriam for the Divine Comedy by Dante begins the 25th of August. We are doing it through the 100 Days of Dante, which is done by Baylor University. I will leave a link to that if you'd like to sign up and do it. There's a video for every day. It's just fantastic. I did it this time last year, and it got away from me. And rather than try to attempt it on my own, Mary and I are going to do it together. So that starts the 25th. Okay. That is everything currently on my radar. What are you currently reading? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, this is going up tomorrow, the 20th. Book club poll choice is open through 6 o'clock on Friday of this week, so the 22nd. And the poll book club announcement for September will come out Saturday morning. I'm going to go play fetch with Fireball, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.